Hello. And today I'd like to share something about the pelvis. And it's good for everyone, but it's particularly good if you have lower back ache or hip problems. The fact is that because we live so much in our head, often we forget what's going on underneath, especially the pelvis. But the pelvis is the center of the body. That's where the center of the weight is. And we move from pelvis quite a lot. And that's meant to be more efficient way of moving. So it's quite nice to come back to pelvis sometimes. And I'd like to talk first about the landmarks of the pelvis, because the pelvis has got very strange shape. And we sometimes call it the pelvic ball. It is like a bowl to serve food or to contain something. The pelvis contains internal organs inside. So I use your hands and start from finding the bones in front of the pelvis. It's clear bones in the front of the hips. They are sticking out. There are two, right and left. So that's one landmark that everyone can find. And yes, let's call it hip bones. There's a more complicated anatomical names to it, but say hip bones. So these are clear landmarks. Then there are sitting bones. So that to do that, you need to kind of stick your bum out, and you will find the bone sticking out on the sheets of your buttocks. So that's the bone you feel when you sit down on a very hard chair, wooden chair or something. You feel these bones a little bit sticking out and painful. So that's sitting bones. That's another landmark. Then we have coccyx. That's the end of the spine. That's where the tail is if you are a monkey. So the monkey or any animals, cat, dog, they have the tail and they will go continue from here. But human beings, we don't have tails. It's a coccyx. It's a remain, or maybe the same part. So that if you go in the middle of the back of the pelvis, go all the way down, then where it ends, that's coccyx. That's very little part, but it's quite important. Yes, those are the landmarks. So if you think about the shape of the pelvis, there's a depth to it. There's a curve on the back and the bottom. Oh yeah, and front, the bone meets in the middle. That's a pubic bone. That's also just a common name. It's not an anatomical name, but you feel kind of tender in there. So that's the pelvis, and it's meant to be healthier if your pelvis can move in different directions rather than just stuck. Even when you walk, the pelvis will move. I mean, the movement really comes from the pelvis in an ideal world. If the pelvis is really stuck, what you can do is just shuffling from your legs. Then that will be too much strain on your hips, knees, ankles, and start having problems and stuff. So it's good to keep the mobility of the pelvis as well as anywhere else in the body. So we are gonna do different movement of the pelvis. And as usual, we're going to lie down on the back. So this is called semi-supine position or constructive resting position. I've made a video about constructive resting, contractive rest a few weeks ago. So if you like to know more about it, please have a look. And this one is without the chair, like I did before. This is just lying down. So your knees are comfortably bent. And keep your heels in line with your shin bones. The bones just retouched. So that would make your legs parallel. And rest of the back completely relaxed. Just keeping the natural curves on the lower back or neck. It's always nice to take a bit of time to settle down, lying on the back. And just feeling subtle sensation in the body, feeling the tension fade away, and the back completely resting, feeling the ground. Now, so we're going to start the movement thinking about coccyx, your tailbone. So that is where the tail is if you are an animal. So that tailbone can point up towards the ceiling or now coming back to where I feel natural. Or I can send the tailbone down towards the ground. Then I'll come back to the middle. And tailbone points up towards the ceiling. Back to the starting point. Passing there and going down towards the ground. It might be difficult to find this movement at the beginning, but once you find it, it's quite a nice movement. It feels like giving massage on the back of the pelvis. So what I'm feeling is the weight shifting from the middle of the back of the pelvis sacrum towards the lower back. So in this position, the tailbone is pointing up towards the ceiling and the lower back is flat against the ground. And then coming back to the middle where I started, where I feel natural. In this position, I feel a bit of a gap under the lower back. And then when I send my coccyx down, I am feeling my weight moving towards the coccyx and feeling more space under the lower back. So there's an arch, big arch under the lower back. So feeling all these things. And make sure you're breathing. Whenever breathing you feel comfortable. Well, I tend to do breathe out to bring the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Then breathe in to bring the tailbone down. So find the most comfortable way of doing and feeling the flow in the movement. Then you start noticing other things probably happening in the body. Because the coccyx and the sacrum, the middle of the pelvis on the back, that connects to the lower back, all the way through the spine, neck to the head. So whole body is connected in this way. It's like a chain running up and down through the spine. So when you move the pelvis this way, let let the movement travel through the spine, through the neck to the head. And when you move the pelvis in opposite direction, there's a reaction to the whole chain of the body as well. So checking different parts of the spine. My tendency is to hold the upper back, neck, and the base of the skull. So I have to actually tell those parts to relax. And what can happen in terms of the movement? And that brings more deep breathing actually when I can let it go. It also gives, to me, I enjoy the sort of friction or movement, grinding movement of the spine on the upper body, upper back. It feels like giving nice movement. It's like flossing the spine in soft tissue and getting a little bit more movement around the spine on both sides of the spine. So you can do that as long as you enjoy. There might be more discovery, and everyone finds different things. And now I'm going to move to the next one I would like to do, which is to thinking about the sitting bones. This is a very, very small movement. So now I think about my right sitting bone going towards the right, actually start from left. So right sitting bone going to the left heel. And coming back. And now opposite side, so left sitting bone is going to the right heel. And coming back. So alternating the sides, so right sitting bone to the left heel, and coming back. Left sitting bone to the right heel, and coming back. If I exaggerate the movement, which you don't particularly need to do, but I want to just show what's happening, it is like this. So when I bring the right sitting bone to the left heel, I feel right waist is open, it's longer, and the left waist is shorter. So there's a bit of a muscle engaged on the left side on the waist. And coming back to the center. And if I do opposite side, so left sitting bone goes to the right, then I feel left side of the waist open, and the right side of the waist closed, and a little bit tensed. So that movement you might be able to associate with the stairwell of the car. So it's moving in that kind of plane, moving. Stairwell, like that. So once you've got the movement, coming back to the center, and it becomes even more subtle. This time, right sitting bone goes to the right heel. There won't be much of the movement. It's even like energetic connection. You just feel they are connected. And coming back to the center. And the left sitting bone goes to the left heel. And coming back to the middle. So alternating again, right sitting bone to the right heel, back to the center, and the left. Even though it might be very small movement, I can feel something going on around this hip bones on the stomach, lower abdomen, and then maybe around the sacrum as well, and also the lower back. So just feeling those small things happening on the body. So that's another movement. Then, one more movement on the pelvis. So this time, imagine a clock on the back of the pelvis, on the sacrum. So there's a little clock here. The first one movement we did today was between 12 and 6, moving between them. And this time we're going to move from 12, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it moves around like this. And as I said before, the pelvis is like a ball, so it's not actually quite flat here. When you move, it's really helpful to feel this three-dimensional shape of the ball. And the movement will be shifting the ball. And sometimes if you drop a little ball into it, it is like moving the little ball in a pelvic ball. So the clock, the little ball, whichever, well, maybe balls, just using that images. What we're gonna do is drawing a circle. So I move my pelvis, and now I'm feeling 12 on the clock. And my little ball is moved towards the navel. From here, slowly shifting to the 1, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the coccyx. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 12 is towards the lower back. And you can keep going the direction. It might be very small movement, but if you just really track what's going on the pelvis, that's the main thing. Eventually you will be doing this with the pelvis. When you're not used to it, you tend to use the legs, and your knees might be moving around, and which is still fine. Just kind of keep tracking what's going on the pelvis. And always release the breath. You might notice some direction is difficult to go through. For me, the direction of maybe 7, 8. That direction. It's kind of like not very clear. It's okay, you don't need to do anything about it, just noticing it. It might change as you repeat some movement, or it might not change, just kind of feeling it. That is a big step forward. And after you've done enough, you can do the other way around. And that feels like completely different. You have to find the movement fast, and I'm doing quite fast actually now, but you can take your time. And again, you will find somewhere difficult to go through, or even you don't feel very much. And it's just good to notice that. Oh, that's the last movement I wanted to do. So that was about pelvis, just getting a little mobility on the pelvis. Then I think we're going to finish with a stretch, which is not particularly the pelvis itself, but it helps the lower back pain for many people. So it's to stretch your buttocks. So the easiest way from here to do is to cross your legs. So my right ankle is on the left knee. Then bring both legs up. Right arm goes through the space between the legs, hold the back of the leg. Left arm from outside, hold the back of the leg, so I can interlace the fingers here. And try to keep your pelvis kind of centered without twisting. It's quite tempting to probably twist this way, but just keeping the pelvis really grounded and centered. If you feel okay, then you can draw the knee towards the chest. So engage your arms try to bring the left knee towards yourself, you get more and more stretch on the right buttock. Should have said earlier, but if you have knee problems, just be careful. This might not be for you. You don't want to feel any twinges or obviously pain on the knee. So you can stay there for a while, just kind of staying, feeling. Then you can do the other side. So left knee on the right leg, pulling the legs up. Left arm through the space between the legs, hold the back of the knee. Right arm from outside, interlace your fingers, and draw the knee towards you. And basically hanging around. The stretch, the attitude for the stretch is not to torture yourself, but maybe it might be torture enough, but I quite like saying that hanging around. It's not too intense. But if you go too intense and really try to pour yourself in, your body wouldn't like it. The body alarms the body itself, like, oh gosh, this is too much, protect. Then actually everything gets more tensed. Nice and kind of relax and hanging around. You're feeling it, and that's enough. So you can breathe normally. You don't want to go into too strong stretch where your breath becomes shallow or even you can't breathe. That's too much. That's it. Just that variation, same stretch. If you have a wall, it's nice to use a wall so you can relax your arms. Same thing, just the ankle on the knee, bend the knee, keeping the pelvis down. So you get the same stretch but a little bit nicer way of doing it. And you can do the other side as well. Yes. So that's it. So yeah, I hope you find it interesting and maybe helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and be careful, look after yourself. You don't want to do anything you feel pain or strange sensations. Yeah, enjoy. Thank you. Bye.